North Korea identifying U.S. targets now, saying it will strike before America does. Just moments ago, I asked former head of the NSA, four-star Keith Alexander, about that. Do you believe Kim Jong-un when he says he'll do a preemptive strike?
Hard to say. You know, to be honest, I see both sides.
I'm not saying I don't believe him.
I think
he could do it.
He could do it.
Special report host Bret Baier is joining me now. Thank you for letting me use your set in advance of your show tonight.
Welcome to Washington.
Thank you so much.
You look very nice on this set, by the way.
Well, listen, we all are trying to look good when inside we might be quaking with some jitters and some nervousness about all of this. What are your sources telling you in Washington about what may or may not happen?
Well, they're very concerned about North Korea. They realize this guy is very unpredictable, and I think that's what General Alexander was getting towards, was that he's kind of wacko in a sense. His father was that way, but he's even more erratic, and with the possibility of doing something on this, which just started, the birthday of his grandfather, which is
Saturday.
A big, there it's already Saturday, and so we're in this window now, and it's open, and there could be something. And I think that the administration is preparing to react or act before they have a sense that a nuclear device can be put on something that hits the U.S. mainland.
You know, we've got a bifurcated attention span for many of our legislators. The House and the Senate failed on the first round of repealing and replacing Obamacare, and then we've got all these exogenous events overseas that are very worrisome. Bring it to the legislative side. What will be the first thing they tackle? Because they're all off, I believe, on spring vacation, but are some of them making it a working vacation?
Well, they are. They're meeting with constituents, but there was word that they were going to be called back, potentially, to vote on a health care bill. That is not the case now, we understand. That said, they are working on specific writing of a new health care bill that I think will be rolled out that Monday, Tuesday when they get back.
First day back.
There will be a vote early on that week. They feel like they have made progress. The administration is really pushing this. The president, as you heard in that interview with Maria, saying that health care has to go first. That is the consensus, and they are going to push it. They think that they can get the Freedom Caucus and the Tuesday group, the moderates, to come together on something that can get across the finish line.
You've covered Washington politics and movements on the chessboard and palace intrigue. So much talk about Steve Bannon sort of being on the outs with President Trump. How much does that really matter to the average person who's waiting to see tax reform, make sure that they do have health care coverage, and that maybe there's a job in infrastructure down the road?
It's very processed. It's very inside Washington. Here's why it matters. If Bannon leaves the administration, he then becomes potentially a thorn in the side of the administration. He has this big whiteboard of all the things that campaign candidate Donald Trump promised in his office, and potentially has a lot of backing still out there with Trump base. And if he's not in the fold, potentially it becomes a legislative problem for Donald Trump, the president.
Real legislative problem, and Richard Goodstein and George Allen were just talking about it, that a lot of Democrats are right now slightly disinterested in working with the president for a whole host of reasons. Some of them their own fault, some of them him saying things like Chuck Schumer's a clown, etc. Is there any chance we'll ever see people cross the aisle to work with each other?
So you're saying there's a chance?
Yeah.
I think there is. If you look just at the people who were up in 2018 for re-election, there are 12 Senate Democrats who are up for re-election in states that 82% or more of the counties went to Donald Trump. In other words, it was overwhelming. So there is leverage there. They have to deal on something. And the question is, can this administration find the thing that they can deal on? Infrastructure is probably the closest, but that's going to be after tax reform. I think tax reform is they'll walk and chew gum at the same time, health care and then tax reform.
Imagine that. All right, well, we'll wait to see. Brett's saying first or second day back, there may be a revelation about health care. Thank you so very much.
All right, thanks, Liz.